It's been over 5 months since I last made a video on this rig, and we're no longer in lockdown. It's now summer and the sun's getting in the way, and I've got a bit more experience with this rig. As you can see, it's installed in an old car in the cassette holder just below the radio, and the rig and its microphone both fit inside the cassette holder. I don't normally use it like that, but that's excellent for stowing the mic and hiding it away. And you can stick a few rubber gloves and things on there to stop people seeing it. But normally you'd have the microphone out and hung up somewhere. So, what do I think of it? I've had no issues with the squelch. I mean, it works, and the squelch is fine. It's either on or it's off. It doesn't chatter or anything like that. And volume-wise, it's okay around town. It's not quite loud enough at 70 miles an hour in a noisy diesel car. So yeah, that is a bit of an issue. And as you can see, the speaker is on the underside, and there's no holes drilled in the bottom of this. So the sound sort of reflects out, and it makes it a little bit boxy. But even so, it still works very well. I've only ever used it on the 5-watt position, but I've been able to hit repeaters 50-60 miles away on the 5-watt position, no problem at all, and hear them okay. There is one issue with this, because you turn it on. You've turned the ignition on, and the accessory socket has come on. Now try and start the car, and it reboots. The radio reboots, which is a nuisance. Not exactly a nuisance, it's just an irritation, really. One thing I've found, the volume control here, you start turning it down, and all of a sudden it jumps from volume 1, which is minimum, to 30, and it absolutely makes you jump. So I wish they'd have put a stop on that. That would have done much better with a stop on it. This is the installation. You can see it's a cassette holder, and the bracket has been screwed to the underside with a couple of screws. Now, I did it off centre so that I could store the microphone to one side, and also so that I could get at the knob, because you've got to be able to turn that knob to get it on the bracket, and the knob on the right hand side had to be sacrificed because it wouldn't push into the console without that. But it can be taken out fairly easily by undoing that and undoing that screw there, and a hole had to be made in the back to fit the aerial socket, and the wire just comes out the top. It's all very Heath Robinson, but there's a Tyco Mason lock on there, and it just joins up with the appropriate connector on there. So you join the cables up, you just stick it in there like that. Job done, and you can drive away, and you can stick the microphone up on your dashboard or just stow it down the side there. So there you go. I'd like to demonstrate a QSO with this thing, but unfortunately none of the repeaters in the local vicinity where I'm parked at the moment are responding. I don't know whether they're all broken, but none of them are responding. Oh well. Anyway, the thing I wanted to say about this is that when I tested it in the shack, well, in the bedroom, it's a very well damped room, and when I make videos I tend to speak rather quietly, and it's because it's a quiet room and your voice sounds very loud. So when I was doing the audio tests, the audio sounded quiet. But I can tell you, when you get on the road and you're in a noisy car, they tend to speak up against the road noise. And from the recordings I've heard made when I'm out mobile, there's plenty of punch, there's plenty of audio, plenty of punch across the microphone. So no issues at all with the microphone sensitivity. And it does pick up road noise, but not too much. It's quite good actually. I've had no luck programming this through the speaker socket, so but I haven't bought the expensive cable. I was just trying to do it with some existing cables, slightly modified. Now there is a thing here. The same frequency probably appears more than once. Yeah, 438.25. I think that one appears more than once. There it is. And it's in there because there are different CTCSs on the two repeaters. So when it's scanning, scan, there you go, scan. It's scanning and it stops on a repeater. And there's no CTCSS on the receive. Because I didn't want to limit what it could hear. So when it stops, you don't quite know whether you're on the right repeater or not. So you could press the button and actually be on the wrong CTCSS. So I suppose I should have put the CTCSS on the receive. That would guarantee if it stopped on the repeater that you could transmit on it. But not all repeaters have the CTCSS on the transmit, so I wasn't sure which ones had and which ones hadn't when I programmed this. Yeah, alphanumeric would be nice. That's I don't dare try and do the alphanumeric from the keypad. Certainly with the computer that would have been a good thing to do. If you transmit, yeah, it carries on scanning afterwards. There's not much of a delay on the scan. If the squelch opens, the scan stops. But I think, does it resume? No, it doesn't resume. So the scan stops when the squelch opens, but it doesn't resume. I don't think I've got much more to say about this rig. It works. It's tiny. As you can see, it fits in a small space. The previous rig I had it got too many buttons. The buttons were too small. You couldn't read, you couldn't understand the display, and the audio was rubbish. That was a Yaesu. So yeah, this one wins hands down on that one. And I don't think I'll make any more vids about this because I don't think there's much more to say really. Over and out.